Breaking news. Death towers are burning. Videos are coming in from everywhere. And it's so beautiful to look at. Look at these pretty colors. Have you ever seen anything so magnificent in your life? And this is democracy at work. This is civil disobedience. No radiation without representation, ladies and gentlemen. And, you know, it's not a surprise that people are out there burning these things down. Now, of course, we can't recommend to do such a thing legally, but it is beautiful to watch. Democracy in action. The people have spoken. They don't want death towers in their neighborhoods, ladies and gentlemen. And why don't they want death towers in their neighborhoods? Can anybody guess? From this recently declassified Air Force report into the effects of EMF and microwave radiation, it says, quote, exposure to RF microwave radiation has been observed to cause physical alterations in the essential cells of the immune system and a degradation of immunological response, with numerous citations. They've known for decades, ladies and gentlemen, that this attacks the white blood cells. And there's a reason why you get a lot of leukemia cases in proximity to power lines and cell towers, because these electric fields have a huge impact on the white blood cells, and they cause cancer of the white blood cells. That's leukemia. So you've got a lot of reasons to be, let's just say, overly cautious when in the middle of an outbreak with this virus that attacks the immune system, attacks the respiratory system, it attacks the nervous system, it attacks the heart, the brain, the liver, the kidneys, the works. It's like fucking Ebola, pardon the language. It's like airborne AIDS. It's a bioweapon that has escaped the lab. It's like a huge tidal wave, a flood, you know, and people are laying out sandbags, ladies and gentlemen, to prevent the flood from getting worse. And people are complaining, hey, you know, what about this broken window? What about this death tower? Ladies and gentlemen, there's absolutely no independent evidence right now that says that these towers are safe. You may have shills and paid lobbyists from the telecom industry that come on television that say everything's okay. But there is no independent science that says that these things are okay. In fact, what the independent science is saying is that these things are not okay. And there's like an army of scientists and researchers and professors trying to stop the rollout of 5G, ladies and gentlemen. But the telecoms, they ain't listening. And the government, they ain't listening. They don't want to listen to we the people. They want to give us shill candidates. They want to give us puppets and go, here, choose one. Choose one of these shill puppets and you'll think you're free. How many of you feel free out there right now, ladies and gentlemen? Government has become a tyranny, a terrorist that terrorizes you with their eugenics programs and their Gladio B events. That's who these people are on the TV. They're terrorists. And they're war criminals. You know, we've seen mass murder on an industrial scale since 9/11. And there have not been any indictments, no war crimes, tribunals. How many people died after 9/11?
And when it got down to the plane is 10 miles out, the young man also said to the vice president, do the orders still stand?
Of course the orders still stand. You've seen the Georgia Guidestone. You've seen the Agenda 21. You've seen Event 201, Crimson Contagion, Clade X. All of this rolling out in a live exercise.
We're in a live exercise here to get this right. We're in a live exercise here to get this right.
Live exercise. When the exercise goes live, that's a live exercise. These people let this virus in, and not just in our country, in every country. China booted this thing up, and every country just let it in. They let the Trojan horse in. They didn't even bother telling people to go buy a mask. They were too busy selling the lie so that they could sell their stock and make the maximum amount of money, honey, at your expense. These people are fucking criminals. Pardon the language, but they are criminals.
The coronavirus.
This is their new hoax.
We have it totally under control. It's one person coming in from China.
One day it's like a miracle, it will disappear.
When you have 15 people, and within a couple of days it's going to be down to close to zero.
I mean, day one, this thing looked like it escaped the lab. You had people out there dressed up like astronauts, like they were in Fukushima, like something had just melted down. They were shutting everything down. I mean, you didn't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out that there was something going on. Ladies and gentlemen, the plandemic. That's what's going on right now. Artificially induced, they say. Now the question is, how live is this exercise? Many people are asking, is there a virus? Are people dying? Are these, mannequins, crisis actors? What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? We could just go back to what history tells us is going on here. History repeats itself. Pay attention to this dude in the window. Hold on, we'll just let this play. But history tells us that this is another 9/11. The planes are 20 miles out. The virus is 10 miles out. Do the orders still stand? Of course, all of this virus came in by plane. We now know that in the middle of November, it was like a full raging epidemic in Wuhan, and they were preparing national security briefs for the White House. And they had a National Security Council meeting on the outbreak in the beginning of December. Count all the days from the beginning of December to when they started shutting things down. They could have told people, go buy a mask, we need to do a little social distancing. Instead, they were just like, they were holding rallies. They were telling people everything's okay. They did the bare minimum. And right now, the states are fighting each other.
The impact on military readiness, which of course would make it important.
They're fighting each other right now to see, who's the biggest asshole. Who's the most responsible for, letting this virus in. Is it the state government? Is it the federal government? Which government do you like better? Which tyranny suits you best? Let us know in the comments, ladies and gentlemen. We're broadcasting live on the ScrewTube. Death towers are going down. Why are they going down? Because they suppress the immune system. Not just the 5G, the 4G, the 3G, the cell phones, the Wi-Fi. Ever since 3G, they've been seeing a huge impact on the immune system. From this recently declassified Air Force report into radio frequency and microwave radiation, it says here it was observed to cause physical alterations in the essential cells of the immune system and a degradation of immunological response. It suppresses the immune system. It's like AIDS. And you hear about people being like IMG deficient. They don't know why. It's not genetic and the like. And, it's probably this technology that's, having an impact here. That's what the studies say. And, until this stuff is, truly proven to be safe, they should tone it down. But what we're seeing is that they're actually ramping up the deployment while you're locked down. And we've got some video of that. Some of these 5G, 4G locations. And there's such a mix mash of transmitters out there right now. You never know what it is. And you won't know until it's too late. But They're going up everywhere, brand new installations, and you can see, oh, you can see this is brand new. The trimmings are still there, but all of this cabling, you know, just goes up, according to experts, just a little lighter fluid. And these things run so hot anyways, it just pretty much takes a spark, and these things are toasted. I know we've got more video, but here's a look of like the new cutting edge death towers. They kind of look, you know, a little cleaner. They got these rectangles going on, and you know, these things are maximum input, maximum output, phased array antennas that are beaming you. Now those are the more classic, you know, between 600 and 2 gigahertz transmitters, but they're weaponized. They're running on megawatts of power. These rectennas are supposed to be capped off at 400 watts, like an HPS lamp or something, but these things are hooked up to like megawatt power supplies. These things are weaponized to fry people, ladies and gentlemen. And they put them, you know, right across your street. They put them at the school. This football stadium for a high school, they put death towers on each side of the bleachers. So you're just getting irradiated like a microwave oven. I mean, this stuff is unreal. What this puts out. I mean, if you have a meter out there, you know what these things put out. If you don't have a meter, you're walking around like a sheeple, and the mask won't save you from this virus, ladies and gentlemen. The mask won't save you from, the virus of the television either. There's a lot of viruses running around. In fact, if you take Virology 101, that's one of the first things you learn is there's billions of viruses, and only some of them are adapted to your program, to your DNA. Did you know that even the simplest form of life requires megabytes of information to function? The scientific law of biogenesis says life can only come from life. Yet they sell it like, you evolved from primordial soup. You can't get Shakespeare by throwing Scrabble letters on the table. You can't get megabytes of a program by random assembly. That's not how information works. And so, obviously, we're in a constructed reality. Obviously, every living thing out here is a program. And these viruses are a program. How did we get here? Check out Genesis 1, chapter 1 for more on creation, ladies and gentlemen. It's amazing, all the things that are in the Bible, quite literally. Had we never read the Bible, we'd probably be repeating what's on NBC. Oh yes, murder the children. Oh yes, two men plowing each other. That's awesome, ladies and gentlemen. Anyways, we've got a lot of stuff to cover. We got a lot of news to cover, and we're just never going to get there if we continue to rant about Sodom and Gomorrah. Oh, what's this? I know this must be some of the new video of a tower, and they're saying even London got hit. Big city. I mean, they're just driving by on a bike or even a car, and they're just super soaking this shit and throwing a flare or some kind of Roman candles, maybe a match. But I mean, the damage is just, it's just huge. I mean, just 1 minute of, shake and bake, and, they got to spend days, if not a month, ripping everything out, rewiring everything. They got cameras, it looks like. You might have to wear your coronavirus mask. Everybody looks alike right now. It's a shitty time to be putting up death towers. But as you can see, it's pretty clear how easy it is to take out one of these death towers, ladies and gentlemen. And it's so pretty. Not sure what happened to the video guy. Obviously, the video guy's on fucking vacation. We're hacking the Matrix. How's everybody doing out there? We can see you. We can see you. We could see you. Arsonists attacked 20 mobile phone masts in England over Easter weekend. And we got more videos and the like. And that reminds us, I don't know if we've got, well, for some reason, we retweeted one of these articles where they're burning down the Death Towers, and we got hit with some kind of sanction. They're going after, this content. They don't want people to know about the dangers of these Death Towers or how pretty they look when they go up in flames. Look at that. I mean, you could sit there and watch that all day, but that smoke is toxic. The act itself right now is illegal. We have to basically, inform the public about the dangers so that if these things do go up, I mean, it's just jury nullification. People should know how bad they are, what the studies say. And you can do your own research. You've got plenty of time to do your own research. We're not going to do all of the, EMF studies right now. But we've seen our fair share. And you should just check out the Bioinitiative safety standards and all of the, research papers that are associated with those standards. And once you understand what this stuff is, you'll realize that it's not safe. They call it non-ionizing radiation. But if you take away the adjective and you just look at the noun, it's radiation. And it cooks you like a microwave, quite literally. And what these things are putting out right now is essentially like a microwave. They're microwaves on a stick, they're Death Towers, and they're weaponized. There's no telling what kind of frequencies are pumping through them in the middle of the night. You just don't know. But you look at these people, running these corporations, running the government, you can see how nefarious they are. Would you be surprised if they were running some kind of, program, sending out secret signals to manipulate you? I mean, they've been experimenting on people, for decades. I'm sure everybody's seen, the MK Ultra, Tuskegee, various other things. You don't think they're zapping people with this shit just to see what happens? I'll tell you what, when you get a meter that can see the spikes of the broadcast, you can see people twitching, when a big spike comes through, and they don't know why they're twitching. And we've kind of described this as the 5G syndrome. But look, I mean, this is a serious kind of thing. Now, we did want to talk about something else, but we're going to try and find some appropriate video to entertain you. This is the only thing that's really soothing right now in the video selection, so we'll just play that. Now, what happened here? What the fuck is this? That's not soothing. But here, we'll get into what we want to get into. So this is the current cellular network map. And we can kind of zoom in and stuff like that. But basically, deep red is 4G plus, and purple is the 5G. I mean, that's like the maximum dosage right there. And then orange is just 4G, and then it just kind of fades from there. But you can see that if you overlay, the SIC map on this map, it corresponds pretty darn well. Of course, they're not testing like they should be. Hold on. I think we've got a map somewhere. Oh no, that's fucking creepy Biden, man. What does this guy say? You're good, Joe. Her nipple was probably cold. No shit. Look at that. And Obama just, endorsed this guy. You should check out the WikiLeaks, the Podesta emails, right? What don't you know? Why were people chanting Hillary for prison, ladies and gentlemen? You saw the Marina Abramovich videos and the like. It's just sad. It's a sad fucking world out there. We've got so much news to cover. Where's our map? Oh, there it is. Yeah, it's just right there. Okay, so this is actually the COVID-19 county by county map. Now, what's strange here is that not every county is reporting. It's obvious they're not testing. The numbers aren't moving. We're keeping track. With Worldometer, you can keep track of all of this, and you can tell by state, what's testing, what's not testing. But as far as the tests that have come in, we've they've been able to generate a map, this map here essentially, and we can see, you know, how many people, etc., etc. And I mean, it's just strange to look at this 5G map, 4G plus map, and to look at this outbreak map, because it's basically, that's it. That's a very, you know, big factor in this equation, because you have to remember that this is a bioweapon that was released from a lab, and it had an infectious rate, an air naught rate of literally 6.6. They're telling you now it's, you know, 5 and something, but this thing is at such a magnitude that by the time the first bodies hit the floor, everybody would have been infected in the country. This is like a nuclear bomb. Essentially, the whole world got bio-nuked in what was either an accidental or programmed release. We're favoring the programmed release at this stage. But everybody's been affected with the base ingredient, which is the virus. Now, there are other factors that are making it so that people are, or regions are being more affected. And the reason that they're testing it all is because people are showing up at the hospital and they don't know what it is. So, you know, now they're forced to test for COVID. But essentially, you know, if you look at the other factors, another factor is pollution. Okay, I don't know if we can bring up this pollution map from earthnullschool.net. It's going to be difficult. But, you know, what we've seen in other outbreaks is that highly polluted areas get a much worse outbreak. You know, we saw this in northern Italy. They've got, you know, like the worst pollution in Europe pretty much consistently. In China, they've got the world's worst pollution consistently. And, you know, the levels that you always see around New York literally rival what you see in China. It's that bad in this little area, you know, from Boston to nearly, you know, Philadelphia. And in this corridor, their I-95 corridor, I mean, it is just so polluted. Now, that's definitely a factor. And, you know, if you look at other pollution maps, let's see if we can pull it up here. But if you look at sulfur dioxide, you know, you can see quite clearly that the eastern half of the United States is more polluted in general than the western half. Air quality makes a big difference in respiratory illnesses, by the way. So you can see that, you know, there's a lot of correlation between pollution and outbreaks as well. You know, this is what you would expect in the big cities. However, there's a big exception here. You know, Florida gets really good air, you know, from the ocean, obviously, and the Gulf. And, you know, they've got a lot of people there, but they don't really have a whole lot of intensity in cases except right in this here area in the tip, mostly based around Miami. And it's really kind of like, you know, it's got a lot more than Orlando, and it's got a lot more than Fort Lauderdale, and a lot more than, you know, just about anybody else. Miami's really the hot spot in Florida. Now you start looking at the 5G map. Oh, let's see if we can zoom in here. But the only place that's got 5G right now is Miami. Pollution is not a factor here. And, you know, you would think that there's as many people infected around the Disney World area as the Miami Beach area. Pretty close. I mean, you'd have an outbreak here. But what don't they have? They don't have 5G. So Miami is really kind of like the best example that shows us that, you know, that 5G is a huge factor here, more than pollution, more than anything else. And it could be that this virus is more or less otherwise harmless unless you're in the presence of 5G and air pollution. That's our scientific theory at this stage. And we got enough science in our background to make such a statement. But, you know, there is a huge correlation there. And it's no surprise that people are burning down these towers. No radiation without representation. Now we see in this, you know, in this area, obviously the mouse isn't showing up, unfortunately. so you can't even see what I'm pointing at or talking about. But from North Dakota to Nebraska, Montana, Wyoming, that area, it's, there's not a whole lot of networks going on. And you look at, this area here on the outbreak map, there's basically nothing there. Now, there might be other factors. People, can have all basically like a death tower in their living room, with the router, the cell phones, the gadgets and the like. So it's not necessarily just, a death tower in proximity that makes a difference here. But undoubtedly, the vast majority of deaths are happening within 1 mile of a death tower. Guaranteed. The vast majority. And look, Wuhan was one of the first places that rolled out 5G in China. They've got the major weapons lab. They've got the pollution. So it looked really bad out there because they had all of the ingredients necessary for an end of the world, looking experience. Obviously, it hasn't been that bad in, a lot of our communities. But they haven't been testing. And we get a lot of counties where they got 1 case or 2 cases, but they're not testing. They're not testing people. And we're getting report after report that they're not testing people. We don't have an accurate number of infections. And basically, the numbers they release every day, it has no bearing with the real situation on the ground. Absolutely none. They've been able to sample 10,000 people today out of 350 million. Okay. What does that tell us? They got some positives. They caught some fish in their net. Okay, but that doesn't, they can do this, every day for years, and they'll still be finding new cases. The wave has already come. It's already hit. And it's like this 5G, you just can't see it. If you had special goggles to see EMF radiation, like the IR spectrum, you would flip the fuck out. You would be like, no way. Take these towers down today. Wouldn't you? Of course you would. Ladies and gentlemen, why are ye so fearful? How is it that ye have no faith? How many people out there are scared right now of what's going on? Don't be scared. It'll be okay. This is as bad as it gets for us. These people, essentially are going to hell. The evildoers. We say these people. But the evildoers, the ones you see on television, these politicians, these, Hollywood actors, the corporate elite, your imperial masters, all these people pushing the Luciferian ideology, telling you that they've sold their souls to the devil, they're going to hell, ladies and gentlemen. A place you don't want to go. Not sure how many people have had a metaphysical experience out there. But these demons are real. This dark matrix is real. This beast system is real. And they're out there trying to kill people. They're out there trying to sacrifice people. They're out there trying to molest children, to wreck their lives. These people are a disease. These demons are a disease. And they should be recognized as a disease. And they need this 5G, this 4G for their master plans to function. They want to jack you into the matrix, ladies and gentlemen, with the brain chip and all of that. They need this telecommunications grid for their Terminators, for their Skynet, for their control grid. These things are like a geofence. Have you ever seen a dog with a shock collar? It learns real quick where it can and can't go. You're going to be that dog here pretty soon. And, these towers will facilitate your prison without walls. It's a geofence. You can understand why these people are taking them down. You look at them and they look monstrous. And once you understand the science behind this technology, it starts looking more like, a Stephen King movie than some kind of, convenience. I don't think you need to be irradiated by megawatts of fucking, electricity just so that you can watch, a movie on this gadget you call a phone, which is really a spy tool. It spies on you for the devil. I mean, look at these things. They should paint them red. You know what I mean? Any case, we got more news to cover. But if they're activating, cells or regions with, through the death towers, they could make this thing blip, all year for a decade. They could just keep these things going, these outbreaks going. Oh, let's just light up this city today. Oh, we got an outbreak, folks. You better get your masks on, shelter in place, stay home. So that's not what freedom is about. And I think people have had quite enough of this tyranny, to be quite honest. How many of you are tired of the tyranny out there? Tired of the evil? What else do we have? I'm sure we've got other news. Yeah, Joe Biden. Yeah, we got that. We'll just get right into all of the news, shall we? See if we can adjust the screen. It looks a little weird right now. Can we do that? Is the video guy on vacation? Obviously. How's everybody doing out there? You guys doing good? Enjoying the show? You like this? We're just buying time as the video guy emerges from his hiding place. Not sure if we're going to get there. No. On vacation. Boom, bitches. We got it. The magic of television. How many of you believe the script readers that you see on TV? You like those people you see on TV reading the script? You like that? You like getting lied to? You like the psychological warfare? So we can't update our Twitter for another 12 hours, it looks like, according to the Gestapo. So, this is going to be the latest news until then. But you can still check out our website, stfnreport.com. And we strongly recommend that you get yourself an EMF meter. We recommend one on our website. We advise you to shop around and the like. But you'll see that this is by far the best one. stfnreport.com, stranger than fiction news. Because the truth is stranger than fiction. State Department warned in 2018 Wuhan lab could cause new pandemic. No kidding. I mean, the State Department has just been on the winning team lately. I'm liking them. We got... Oh, what is this? That's not what we're looking for. We got the... interference. We got interference from the Matrix.
We're in a live exercise here to get this right. We're in a live exercise here.
So Secretary of State basically tells us what's going on. It's a live exercise. Now we got these State Department cables that just mysteriously make it to the mainstream news that they were warning, about this lab, of how easy it would be for, a virus to escape. So they're trying to shift the narrative. Oh, the virus escaped. Do you believe that? And so, we're seeing a huge shift from the wet market, obviously. And that story didn't last very long. I think one of the, nice things about free speech is that, the discovery process can be amplified through the internet. And, people working together can really discover a whole lot about what's going on. And that's what they don't want. They don't want, people capable of critical thinking. They don't want people, talking about things that isn't in their schedule or within their talking points. It's basically become like the Communist Party in America. You can see it for yourselves. You're not allowed to do this. You're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to say this. You're not allowed to say that. And they train you like a dog, with one of those shock collars. They basically, will send you a notification. You've been banned. You've been suspended. You've been notified. Your appeal has been denied. And it's like, who the fuck are these people? And you get these hidden glimpses of what's going on in San Francisco, and it's like all these libtards with like pink hair and shit, and they're like, all upside down, two men plowing each other. It's like, what happened over there? How did we go from Leave It to Beaver? How do we go from the happy days to where we are today? Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. Christians deserve a homeland. We need a Christian homeland. You know, the Jews have a homeland. Why can't we have a homeland? The atheists, the pagans, the witches, the child molesters, the Luciferians, the Hollywood actors, they've basically taken over every state, every mind of every generation. They've hijacked us through the television and their entertainment. And they've just basically plundered our homeland and turned it into hell on earth. And now we're living in this fucking nightmare with their pandemic. We need a homeland. We need these people to go away, ladies and gentlemen. And I think that we should basically, you know, quarantine California, quarantine New York, and start sending libtards that way. Let them figure that shit out. And we can have our own television, our own programming, our own school system without them trying to pollute our minds and to molest our children. Christian homeland. We'll be going in that direction, ladies and gentlemen. But the State Department is warning us. Who's responsible? It's the Chinese. This is the Chinese virus that was allowed in by every country. And they knew it was happening. And they didn't even bother telling you, you need a mask. They're like, wash your hands. This is an airborne bioweapon. They're like, wash your hands. You don't need a mask. Everything's fine. Go to the gym. Go to the show. Go to Disneyland. And they're selling their stocks, you know. They're buying into businesses that will benefit from the pandemic. We're seeing headlines, you know, Main Street not getting bailed out, just the Wall Street. You see, and it's like the same thing. It's like 2008 all over again. They're bailing out, you know, the rich people, the mega rich people, not just rich people, but the mega rich people. They're like, here, have billions, you know, have it, yeah. And everybody else is getting like, you know, peanuts. Peanuts, ladies and gentlemen. And, you know, we went from nice jobs to shitty jobs after 2008. A lot of people did. And now we're going to go from shitty jobs to real shitty jobs after this one. Because this is going to be the perpetual outbreak thanks to 5G. And they're going to roll out 6G and people are going to become more sick. And they're going to wonder, you know, what virus is this? It's the 5G. It's the TV. It's the politicians. It's the mainstream. It's this demonic they live that's out to get you. Beijing warns it's seriously concerned about U.S. decision to suspend the funding of the World Health Organization. Well, bravo, you know, bravo to Donald for defunding the UN, for defunding the WHO, for defunding, you know, Planned Parenthood. Bravo on that. But you have to call bullshit on rolling out 5G death towers on everybody's neighborhood. You have to call bullshit on letting Hillary go. You have to call bullshit on locking up journalists like Julian Assange. And look, you know, that was a very bad situation that got worse. And, you know, there's probably things that he shouldn't have released. But initially, had they just left him alone for exposing the war crimes in Iraq, I think everybody would have been golden. But everybody just kind of like, you know, kept making it worse. These revised counts include victims that have not been tested for coronavirus but are presumed. How many presumed cases are there right now? Because, you know, when we look at the hospitals in America right now, there's like nobody there. They're not testing anybody. And, you know, that kind of gives you the impression that there is no virus, or it's over, or everything's fine. But that's not necessarily the case. And I think there's a lot of people out there suffering in silence because they don't want to be on the fucking list. How many of you want to go on the coronavirus list? How many of you want to get, you know, want to check in and, you know, be on their list? Because, you you got the World Health Organization saying, oh, we need to come in and extract everyone that might be, positive and more. In China, we saw them, essentially liquidate people, forced extractions. I think we've got video of that. I know we got video of that. It's just a matter of, can you find the video? And in other countries, we're definitely seeing, what looks like an outbreak. But in our country, we're not really seeing it. And I think it just kind of depends, where you're at in life. You may not see the drug epidemic either. That doesn't mean that there isn't one. If you live out in the country and you ain't got a whole lot of stuff going on. But, here's videos of the forced extractions. We saw lots of liquidations. People that were suspected to be positive. And they got 21 million people missing in China right now, according to reports. Now, is that, absolutely bona fide? These are based on phone records that are missing. 21 million subscriptions lost from the various telecoms over there. I mean, that's at least gives you a ballpark. We're talking about millions of people missing. Something happened to them. And, we were getting reports that people were being thrown alive into the oven in body bags. So, look, there's a lot of, information out there. And the story is probably, the real story is probably somewhere in the middle. I think a lot of people out there, they immediately want to jump, to the worst case scenario. And why not, given everything that we've seen? But, as far as, what is the real situation out there, it's probably somewhere in between, what the news reports are saying on television and, the worst case scenarios that, reports that you're seeing on the internet. And, at this stage, it's really hard to say, what is coming next. We're getting reports, scientific reports from scientific journals and clinical studies that this virus not only infects the lungs and the immune system and the liver and the kidneys and the like, but it's also like a brain-wasting disease. And it causes rabies-like symptoms, hallucinations, madness, depression, and the like. And, they can pick up the lesions in the brain. People are losing their sense of smell and the like. It runs up the olfactory nerve right into the brain and starts spreading. And with, coronaviruses, usually it attacks the brainstem. Usually it's a persistent infection like herpes. It doesn't go away. You can't take Tamiflu for herpes. You can't take Tamiflu for AIDS. It's a lifelong disease. And so essentially we've got this airborne AIDS that has infected just about the entire Western world right now with, a lifelong disease. And this is really just like the first wave of the first wave that's gone by. The first wave of respiratory infections, which are essentially the, initial or primary infection site. And then it evolves into a systemic infection or an infection of the entire organism or multiple organ systems. And we're seeing, the topography, if you will, of this disease, the cells that it likes, the organs that it likes. And every disease has its choice organs that it likes to eat. But essentially, this is like airborne AIDS that turns into airborne Ebola or airborne cancer, essentially. And whatever accelerates this disease is what you want out of your life right now. And, we've talked about disease management. We've talked about, some of the supplements and nutraceuticals that you should be getting. We've listed it in the video description on our ScrewTube channel. So if you're watching this on Facebook later, find our ScrewTube channel through our website, stfnreport.com. But, you should be getting magnesium and zinc and vitamin C, lots of sleep. We strongly recommend herbal anti-inflammatories like turmeric and many others to bring down the inflammation. This disease loves inflammation as kind of like as a foundation, like most diseases. Reports about the chloroquine and the like are based on, it looks like, augmenting your pH in the cell. So, if you can't get the chloroquine, if you can't get the Zithromax, try some, high-grade baking soda, that for cooking, not the shit that you would use to clean, the toilets, right? You don't want to get the Ajax. You want to get, the sodium bicarbonate in the grocery store or whatever, baking soda. And you can take up to three teaspoons a day in little doses, like half a teaspoon at a time. And that'll help with the inflammation. Turmeric, baking soda, zinc, magnesium, selenium, and spirulina are probably the main things that you really want as supplements, as well as fresh air 24/7. Avoid volatile organic compounds, perfumes, detergents, deodorants when you're cooking, all of the smoke there. Avoid people that are burning shit and the like. Smoke outside if you're a smoker and all of that stuff. But the more you irritate your lungs, the worse it is. And you can drink a little whiskey to kind of clear up the lungs if you have to, but I think most people are probably beyond that stage right now, unless they're getting the recurrent infection or the recurrent inflammation due to volatile organic compounds, which includes air pollution. We feel that air pollution is probably the most important component to the respiratory syndrome aspect of this virus. But obviously your immune system and your immune response is very important as well, and we can't stress that enough. And anything that might suppress your immune system is really what you want to eliminate from your life. And it's not just death towers that suppress your immune system. You got the Wi-Fi, you got the cell phones, the smartphones, all of that. You should be using a tethered connection to your router, and you should be verifying that you're in a radio silent environment with a meter. I mean, that should be your standard practice. You can spend $200-300 on a meter if you want to. We found one for $100 that works very well, and it works on the death towers. So not every meter works on the death towers, and the El Cheapos from Home Depot for $20, they just pick up static fields. So shop around, do your own research, but be in a radio silent environment. Obviously, getting plenty of sleep is where you want to be as well, and plenty of sunshine, fresh air, natural life, away from the beast system technology as much as you can. Obviously, everybody's life is going to change now. Disease management is going to be a major priority for people, and I think people's lifestyles will evolve and adapt. You may have to get a high quality air filter for your residence. You may have to give up your perfume and the like, and you may have to wear a respirator like the movie Outbreak when you go outside, like an astronaut. And you should get the astronaut gear, and you should visit Planet Tard, and you should understand how retarded these people are. You already know that. You already know how crazy these people are. And of course, it's the crazy people that make fun of you, right? Have you ever, seen the people from the short bus? They're all giggling and laughing and talking to themselves. Crazy people. These are the ones that are making fun of you. These are the ones that want you to feel bad about knowing your information. And all they can do is insult you with real cheap kind of labels, but there's no information, no substance to their stories other than, just cheap propaganda, cheap labels. Oh, you're crazy. Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. That's it. That's all they have. And they've got their paid shills on television working for the telecom industries telling you how safe their poisons are. We've seen this time and time again. And I don't know. Ooh.
Right, here we go. Here we go.
What's this?
Right, so we have a tree here.
Yeah?
Not a very good looking tree.
Uh-oh.
All the bark's falling off. All on the left hand side. Look on the left hand side of that tree.
Yeah.
On the right hand side.
Yeah.
That's alright. Yeah. Right, well look at the right hand side of the tree. Look at the flower. Look at the bushes. Look at the green bushes. Yeah. Very nice.
Yeah.
Look at the left hand side.
Uh-oh.
Dead.
Yeah.
Do you know why?
Oh.
Because that's right next to it.
Oh.
Look at this. Have you seen anything like that in your life?
A mutant tree right next to one of those smart street lamps. And you've probably seen like the Anthony Steele videos.
You know why?
Where they're, basically showing you the weaponized antenna array that has a burst effect and the like. But, all of these antennas are bad news, big and small. The ones in your phones, are as bad as the death towers for the most part, within a couple feet of it. And it's the way, wave formation works with an antenna that makes proximity a very dangerous place, because you have a lot of unstable waveforms, and it's like a nuclear reactor, when it comes to wave propagation. And it's like, you don't want to be anywhere close to an antenna. You don't want one of these mega antennas, on your street. And if they're not going to let you vote on it, and they're just going to irradiate you 24/7, this stuff penetrates you, it damages your DNA, it damages your white blood cells and many other things. People are twitching because of it. If they're going to irradiate you without representation, then, these death towers have got to go, essentially. And that's why we're seeing all of these death towers burn right now. And it's a lovely sight. I mean, you look at the color of it. It's just got this nice orange glow. I mean, you could watch this all day. I mean, we could have just spun this the whole broadcast and you'd be fine with that. And, oh yeah, here's, we got this from the Gestapo, and they're like, you must remove your tweet. And it's like, what? We just retweeted the current burn count in the UK. The current 5G burn count. They don't want people keeping score. I thought that was really weird. I thought like, well, wow, you just can't say anything. I mean, that wasn't that bad, was it? I mean, is that bad? Does that sound like, like it's really mean and hateful? Did we offend somebody? But they're getting concerned, man. I don't know what happened to the video guy. Video guy's fired. But they're getting concerned about this this trend, like the Burn 5G challenge. People are keeping score and they're competing and they're posting videos, and it's just like, yeah, people are cheering it on, and they're like, no, not that. Again, from this recently declassified Air Force report on RF microwave radiation, it has been observed to cause physical alterations in the essential cells of the immune system and causes a degradation of immune response. That's it. Why don't they put that shit on everything you buy, like a Surgeon General's warning? They don't do that, but they should. That's what the study says. That's what the science says. Instead, they just, put these things up wherever they want to, and you can't even, a city can't even say no due to health reasons. For the number one reason that they would say no, you can't do it. That's illegal. Now, look, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to know that these people are trying to get you, because you can't bring up health concerns. You've got all the studies in the world telling you these things are dangerous. You got tons of scientists and professors and doctors, telling you, to stop these, stop erecting these death towers. You've got cancer clusters around these things, especially when they erect them in schools, because children are more, vulnerable and susceptible, and they don't even care. They'll erect them right there, on the playground. You know what I mean? They will just like literally rape your child right there with this radiation, and there's nothing anybody can do about it. That's called radiation without representation. If they want to put a death tower in your neighborhood, they need to let people vote on it. You know what I mean? And look, maybe they can compensate people. Instead of just paying the guy that hosts, the hardware, they should be paying the people that are getting dosed with this shit as well. And if they want to start paying people to get dosed, and people want to vote on that, like, it's like the people that live next to, a frack well or something. Well, they don't even get the vote on that, really. You don't get the vote if you get the fumes from the frack well. But look, it should be up for a vote. And like the fluoride too. You should be able to vote if you want fluoride in your water. You should be able to choose if you want their toxic vaccines. You should be able to choose, if you want to eat GMOs or organic. And now I guess you can a little bit at the grocery store. But for the longest time, for many years, they were feeding people frankenfood, and they had no idea. They had no idea that their corn wasn't corn anymore. I mean, some people did, but most people didn't. It wasn't until recently, the past few years, it all of a sudden became a big thing and people started buying organic. But before that, people thought everything was organic. No, it wasn't. It was modified, causing disease. Sprayed with pesticides, causing more disease. And people need to be able to opt out of that shit and choose something, greener, if you will. But all of this stuff is just imposed on people like a death sentence, like a gas chamber, And, if you follow the Nazi gold from the 1940s, quite honestly, all the way up until 9/11, you'll realize that it's not America that's in control of America anymore. The Nazis are in control, ladies and gentlemen. People have found it kind of strange that there's now socialists and communists in America. Well, the Nazis were the Socialist Party. Never forget that. So when you follow the Nazi gold, you actually find out that it's the Nazis that are in charge right now, quite literally. And it's a cult of death. It's skull and bones. Just like the SS, they had the skull and bones on their uniforms. You look at the past presidents, skull and bones, 322. It's a cult of death. They want to kill you. That's what these people are. That's why they had death camps. They wanted to kill people. That's what they're into. Like sadists. That's what they're into. You might not understand why people are the way they are, but that's what they're into. And it's important that you realize that, the people that are in charge, they're into this shit. This is what they're into. That's what came out in the WikiLeaks and the Podesta files. That's what people have been fighting, to expose. And of course, this system of sadists and Luciferians, they don't want this to be part of the conversation. So they silence and they censor and they run Gladio B events, as bread and circus, so to keep people distracted. And now it's like, the same old song and dance. They got you fighting, between the red corner and the blue corner, like a boxing match. It's like, in the red corner, we've got Donald Trump, and in the blue corner, we got creepy fucking Biden. And then, people are just like, oh yeah, no, go Trump, hit him harder, and they're like, yeah, he won, and they celebrate like they got the fucking bonus. They celebrate like, they got the cheerleader, that they got the contract, like they got, all of the stuff that the dude on TV got. You didn't get any of that shit. It's just like sports. You celebrate when your team wins the Super Bowl or the World Series. You didn't win nothing. You paid them. And you're out there celebrating like you're on the team and shit.
The coronavirus.
This is their new hoax.
We have it totally under control.
So right now people are, still arguing, who's my favorite puppet on television, which government do I like better, the federal or the state tyranny, But it's all the same. They're out to screw you. They'll tell you what you want to hear, but they're out to screw you. At the end of the day, they have to be. They're still delivering the fluoride, the 5G, the criminals, they let them go. They come arrest, the whistleblowers, the journalists, and the like. How is it that we could be reporting on this story for 3 months, 4 months, 3 months since the lockdown in Wuhan? Right there, boom, January 22nd, 23rd. We're telling people, whoa, this thing, escaped the lab, the bioweapon. Look at these people dropping dead. There's body bags everywhere. People in spacesuits. How could we be so on the ball? And, the mainstream news is light years behind. What, you don't think they saw these videos of people dropping dead? You don't think they saw these videos of people in spacesuits like Fukushima just erupted? You don't think they could go 2 + 2 = 4? Oh, look, they're burying people alive in their buildings. It must be the flu. You don't think they pieced this shit together when they were selling their stocks and telling you everything's fine? You don't think they understood what was going on? So we got some major, criminal complacency here, if not full-blown, conspiracy, commiseration. That's the number one thing they'll prosecute people on, is conspiracy to commit crime. It's easier to convict on conspiracy than it is on actual, crimes. I mean, for all intents and purposes, this definitely looks like, a conspiracy between, the Chinese and the American government and the New World Order governments to basically liquidate all the freeloaders on Social Security and Medicaid, and just reduce their costs with this virus. That's what it looks like. And of course, in a lot of socialist regimes, they got a huge death tax, so they got a major motive to take people out. Not only do they not have to pay the pensions and the and the retirements, but they also get the tax and take 50% of whatever they had. I mean, that's a win-win for a socialist regime. That's a win-win for a tyrannical government. You don't have to give them a whole lot of excuses to roll out a fucking virus in a world like that, where they basically, print unlimited money and rape you and take you for everything you got. I mean, this is, what's the point? Why do they have to even collect taxes? They just print money. Do you see all the money they just printed? And they gave it to their criminal friends. And then they want to come tax us too? Get the fuck out of here. These people are just printing money out of thin air and they want to tax you. Why? Because they don't want other people getting rich. That's besides the point, but they don't want competition, so they tax you. And then they give themselves, the tax breaks. See, they tax you, they give themselves tax breaks. They tax you, they give themselves tax breaks. You know why they do that? So you can't compete. You can't compete with Amazon. You can't compete with Google and Apple. They're in control. They've rigged the whole system. Congratulations. Now you get to choose which one of their puppets you want as president. You want the pedophile or you want Teflon Don? That's not a difficult choice. But you can bet that that his ego is going to get twice as big after he wins the next election, right? He's going to be like, oh, you see that? I annihilated him. I got 322 electoral votes in the electoral college. That's what he's going to be like. I wouldn't be surprised if it was 322. But, that's what he's going to say. He's going to be like, I got 322 votes. I'm so awesome. Oh, wow, you beat the pedophile. No shit. No shit. Way to go. And, of course, the Democrats, they couldn't find anybody better. They couldn't find anybody better than the fucking pedophile that can't even remember his own name. Hello? The crazier, the better for the Democrats. Wall Street feasts on federal coronavirus funds while Main Street starves. New York Post. President's name to be printed on the relief checks. You got to be thankful come this November. See, that's how the bribe works, bitches. You know what I mean? You got to like that. I mean, look, he's crafty. I like it. He's crafty. I don't like the death towers. I don't like the Julian Assange thing. I don't like the genocides. War for oil. He's like, he sends our troops into Syria. He's like, we're just guarding the oil bitches. At least he was honest about it. But There's just something wrong here. What's this? Coronavirus ravages the lungs, also affects the brain. Wall Street Journal. We've been saying this for months. They're just discovering it now. Right? So, get next month's news today on STFN, Stranger Than Fiction News. Check out our website, stfnreport.com. We're the scariest news channel in town, and everybody knows it. They can't afford not to tune in and see what we're saying, see what we've uncovered next. Mr. Trump said that he has absolute power and is set to unveil a special counsel to advise him on the process of reopening the economy. He wants the full credit of saving us, ladies and gentlemen. He let the virus in, and then he wants the credit for saving us. Haven't we seen this kind of shit before? Problem, reaction, solution. The firefighter that starts a fire kind of thing. It's very crafty. I like it. When somebody's the president of the United States, the authority is total, bitches. Total. You understand what dictatorship is? King. King Trump. I like the sound of that. You know, I think our Constitution's overrated. All these rights and freedoms. We don't need that shit. The Chinese have a very nice slavocracy. And, you know, being a king and a forever dictator is becoming like the new kind of fashion statement for the ultra rich these days. If you're not like an imperial master of your country, you don't really have the bragging rights, you know. So, anyways, as scripted, U.S. coronavirus deaths rose by at least 2,200 people on Tuesday. You know, right in time for the peak of, you know, tax day, 4/15. And so, yeah. You know, this is what they were predicting. And this is what we saw with the Chinese cases, too. It was going right with the World Health Organization models that they released, like, you know, at the beginning of the outbreak. Just going according to program. And that's what these numbers are. They're part of a script. Absolutely. They don't represent anything in the real. It's just, you know, the numbers they've chosen to release that day. But the truth is that, you know, most people have been infected by this virus. You know, we're talking about, you know, hundreds of millions of people in America, not 10,000, not 20,000, not 500,000, you know. And they could be at this for years, you know.
Right.
They could be at this for years, you know, 10,000, 20,000 people a day. Before they get to, you know, 300 million, it's going to take them a while. It's going to take them a while. Why can't we find the video of them burning down the death towers? What happened to that, ladies and gentlemen? We've got more news. How's everybody doing out there? You guys still out there? Anybody still out there? You might be like, when is this broadcast going to end? Never, bitches. People ask me that all the time, you know? They're like, when are you going to stop doing shows? Well, when other people can start reporting the fucking news. I'd rather do something different. I just want you to know that. You know, I could be doing a lot of things right now. I think a lot of people could be doing a lot of things right now. But I think it's important that we understand the full scope and nature of the tyranny out there, ladies and gentlemen. And I don't think we're ever going to find the video guy. Dude's on vacation. There we go. Way to go, video guy. Okay, let's see. What is this? Does the 2015 Italian documentary prove the coronavirus was created in a Chinese lab? And is that one of the reasons why they got hit so bad? And, yeah, CNN glasses, beware. Clinton Foundation CFO supposedly says, I know where all the bodies are buried. Ladies and gentlemen. Whatever happened to Hillary for prison? He let Hillary go and locked up Assange, then rolled out the death towers and genocided the Kurds, and here comes the virus. And you're asking questions? How bad do you like to get anally raped? I mean, non-stop without the Astroglide, day and night? Is that the kind of person you are out there? How many times you got to get fucked before you understand that you're getting fucked out there? You're getting raped by this system. Pardon my language, that was a bit vulgar. More vulgar than usual. But I think it's important that you understand, you know, the gravity of the situation. It looks like a major relapse in Wuhan, and they're starting to lock down residential districts again. So the outbreaks are coming back, relapses, the works. U.S. sounded alarm on the Wuhan lab years ago, right? Super virus escaped the Wuhan lab, according to the State Department. And that brings us to, you know, yesterday's news, where the governor of New York is like, we don't have a king, bitches. You know, it's the states that made the federal government, not the federal government that made the states. No kidding. That's true. I think this federal government is, you know, way beyond its scope, way beyond its purview, you know, and anytime you have power like that, it gets abused. And that's what we saw with the FBI and their, you know, secret, you know, FISA warrants and all that. And they were planting evidence, and it was just like, you know, abuse of power everywhere from the top and, you know, from previous administrations and the like. And it's just, look, all of this stuff should really just go back to how it was in the 1920s in terms of, you know, the federal government's authority and purview. I mean, now it's just like it regulates everything, like the blob, you know, it's into everything. And it wasn't always like that. It was pretty much, you know, treaties, coin money, you know, and effectuate wars, perhaps. But now it's like it wants to be your religion. And it wants to tell you everything you can and can't do. And it's watching you non-stop, you know, through the lens of your camera and your television, your smart TV and your computer. It is now, you know, watching you all the time, like that all-seeing eye on the back of the dollar bill. New World Order. It's become, you know, the religion of the dark side. And it's become a threat and a menace to us all. It's become a tyranny and a terrorist organization. And look, state government's bad enough, but federal government is straight from hell. Till the next time, ladies and gentlemen. If you're listening to this,